What's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today on the show we have Paso Robles Chamber CEO, Gina Fitzpatrick. Welcome.
Good morning.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy. So technically I grew up in the San Joaquin Valley. I'm fifth generation here in San Luis Obispo County. Spent a ton of time here as a kid. Officially moved over here, I believe in 1999. I was on the coast for a little while in Morro Bay. And so now we've been up here in the North County, probably 20 years. I was with Heritage Oaks Bank prior to coming down to the Chamber in 2015. So
wow.
I'm coming up on my 8th year, which is exciting. It's been a heck of a ride. And I'm married and have a sweet little girl. My husband runs our cattle way up north and in northern Nevada. And so, so I love what I do here at the Chamber, and
Awesome.
I'm excited to talk to you guys today.
Sweet. So the Chamber and yourself. So, I mean, obviously in the last 8 years, I mean, a lot of things have happened. You probably it's like, what else can happen?
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of went through the low, the high, I mean, and now it's just kind of growing. I see a lot of businesses coming on board. So tell me a little bit about Paso Chamber.
Yeah, thanks. So, it was kind of funny. I started off, like I said, I was at the bank at Heritage Oaks Bank. I was a vice president and branch manager for many years, and I was sitting on the board of the Chamber. And as a board member, I was also on the executive committee, and they assigned me to the role of chair of economic development. And I didn't know exactly what that meant or what the roles were, or any of those things. So took a week off of work. I went up to Sacramento and became certified in economic development. I took a course that officially certified you. Instructors from Louisiana and Oklahoma taught the course, and they were phenomenal, and I loved it. And I came back just really invigorated, and I thought, this is what I should be doing. What am I doing here at the bank? But there was a lot about the job that I wasn't necessarily excited about when the role came open for CEO. And so people kept nudging me and saying, no, you should really do this. And it took a while, but finally, last day that you could actually submit a resume or an application, I put my name in the hat, and here I am. I didn't necessarily want to work with politics. I didn't really look at that part of it as an exciting part of the job. But then as time went on and I actually fell into the role, I realized that I actually like that aspect of it. And I like being able to have connections with the elected officials. And it's a lot of the behind the scene work that we're able to do that I take advantage of and am excited about. Oh, wow. So fast forward, we were really focused on economic development. We had a partnership with the city of Paso Robles. We actually were the economic development arm for the city. We held that contract for about 4 years, which was phenomenal. It was a great experience. Heavily worked in workforce development as well as overall economic development, bringing new businesses in, and all facets of it. Anything that you could imagine with economic development. We had envisioned growing the airport area and what could be done out there. And now, as you would probably know, it's becoming a spaceport, which is so exciting.
Right.
So then COVID hit.
Yeah,
and that was
crazy times.
Absolutely. Just I've never honestly worked harder in my entire life, and I'm a hard worker and I love to work. It's one of my absolute accomplishments in life is to be able to look back on a job well done and be able to say we did that together. This was my team and we led this, or we've done this. And so it was crazy though. It was really hard. Not only have I never worked so hard, but I've never cried so hard either, in all seriousness. Talking to some of those businesses that just said, I can't stay open anymore. I've been in business for 25, 30, 40 years, and this is breaking us. And I was so proud of our community, of both Templeton and Paso, for saying, what are we doing? We can beat this. We don't need to lay down right now. Let's figure this out. We'll do it together. And it was amazing to see everybody rise. And as you well know, we came out on top. We didn't suffer the way that other communities and other places, specifically in California or even throughout the nation, we didn't fail. We won, in my opinion. And that doesn't mean that it wasn't hard and that there aren't people that are still working through a lot of the challenges that they had that back then, but we still, generally speaking, did much, much better. Tourism, of course, rebounded, and we have a lot of pluses on our side.
Yeah, and it was a really cool, in my opinion, of the way that they worked with the businesses. They put them outside. The North County Paso was still, I mean, it was probably, I mean, it was busy.
Yeah.
It was really, really busy. And I mean, people were coming here from all over the place.
Absolutely, they were.
So in some senses, that we got a spike.
Right.
Really?
It truly, we did. And we worked hard for that. We worked really closely with the city. We said we need dining in the park. We helped develop the propane program. We just kept thinking of things, and it wasn't specific to just the downtown. We ensured that this was restaurants throughout the entire community. Were they able to have parklets and be able to operate still without outdoor dining when the restrictions were that they weren't supposed to be, they were so limited, I guess, on the indoor dining, that we had to find other ways. And I love the creativity that it wasn't just the chamber, it was us with our partners. We worked really closely with the Wine Alliance and Travel Paso and the Main Street Association. And like I said, the city, because we're doers, we're shakers. We're not going to sit back and let somebody tell us that we can't operate,
Right.
And so it was phenomenal to watch that. And you're 100% right. We did have a spike. Our visitor center was blowing up. We had more phone calls, more emails, more people that were trying and figuring out how they could come into town and where they could stay and how they could give us a visit instead of having to stay away like they were in so many other areas of California.
And it's funny because that was one of my questions, but you just, answered it all. What does, the Paso Chamber do? But I mean, obviously it's in the pudding right there. You guys do a lot. It's not so much just a sticker on the window.
It's not a sticker on the window. And that was a big struggle that I had coming into it was they talk about chambers that are pageants, parties, and parades, that are really excited about the festivals and all of those things. And we are that as well. We love, love, love. Last year was the first year that we did the 4th of July event in Templeton, and it was an absolute blast. I'm actually super looking forward to doing it again this year because we had so much fun. So it's not that we don't love our events, and we just had a phenomenal gala where we actually gave out 4 awards. We had a Business of the Year, a Citizen of the Year, a Roblin of the Year, and a Beautification Award, which is traditionally one of the Paso awards. And being able to go through these processes and recognize these people it's what it's all about. People bring their kids sometimes and their young adult kids, I'll say, not children, but young adult kids, to be able to see these role models and have people to look up to. And it's that feel good at the end of it all that just it makes my job worth it. It's worth every single second of the planning and the coordination and all of the pieces that we put together in order to have these successful events. So it's not that we don't love the event side of it. It's just that our focus isn't 100% there. There's a portion of our focus that is there, but we also, we advocate, educate, and promote. That's our job. We advocate, educate, and promote. We have a phenomenal board of 21 people that represent both the Templeton and the Paso community. I think that's where I was going earlier and talking about COVID and coming out of COVID and me being me. Drives my husband crazy, but that's okay. It's what's next.
Right.
We just got through this. What's next? We're not going to just sit here and pat ourselves on the back or look at these accomplishments or struggles or any of that. We need to figure out what's next. And at that point, it was the Templeton Chamber didn't have a ton of resources, didn't have any staff. And they were a little bit lost with where do we go? What do we do? How do we become a sustainable organization again? COVID was not easy on us and these Templeton businesses. What are we going to do? And so through conversation, we decided it makes a ton of sense. Let's combine resources. Let's work together and let's merge the 2 chambers. So that's been a large part of our focus this past year is the merger, and it's now successfully accomplished. We're now the Paso Robles and Templeton Chamber of Commerce. And so now we'll work this next year to really integrate the 2 chambers and find out where we can fill in the Templeton market. I know that visitor services is a large part of that. These businesses want people to stop in on the weekends and throughout the week, and they need somewhere to go to say, I need a tasting room, or I'm looking for retail items. I need specific merchandise that they're looking for, whatever it may be. We know that we can fill that gap because we have a really successful visitor center in Paso Robles. We serve well over 25,000 people in person on an annual basis in Paso. Wow. And so elevating that, looking at overall the number of visitor guides and all the other things that we hand out, we're probably closer to 45 or 50,000 people on an annual basis that we're serving.
Wow.
So we can do that for Templeton.
That's amazing. So merger and the Templeton location is still there as well?
It is,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. I actually just hired a person that is training currently in Paso, and then we'll be here in the Templeton office 5 days a week.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so, I mean, she won't be in the office only. She'll be serving the community. So she'll be out quite a bit as well. And so she'll help us to oversee events. That's kind of our next big feat as a board, is really lining out all of our events and being able to produce a big calendar so that everybody can see what's happening next.
Oh, very cool. Well, that leads me to the next one is the events. So what do you guys have planned for this coming year?
Oh boy. So we're really along the arm of legislation and looking at what we've done this past year with governmental affairs. We have Amy Russell currently in place now. She's our governmental affairs and advocacy coordinator. She does a phenomenal job. We have monthly meetings with all of the everybody from, gosh, national, state level, our senators, our assemblymen, our county supervisors, city government. Everybody's pretty much in the room for these meetings. And so she coordinates those efforts in having these monthly meetings. Well, we're looking at having an official. We know that there is a gap that people don't always know how to meet their elected officials. And so we're looking at different types of events. We haven't landed on anything specifically yet, but being able to help so that people, last year, again, we've done this quite a few times, candidate forums, so that people have the opportunity to ask questions and get feedback before they officially vote. So we'll definitely do that. It's not election year this year, so it's not a big election year, I guess I should say, but we'll definitely come up with some type of a program or a format for people to be able to engage with their elected officials. In addition to that, there was a Christmas tree auction in Templeton that apparently was really successful and the community absolutely loved. And so we're investigating that so that we can produce that again. Not until December, luckily, but I've got our auctioneer all lined out, and we're doing a lot of the behind the scene work there. So again, I know I already mentioned our 4th of July event. And then in Paso, we have quite a few programs. I should go back again to Templeton. We also do a monthly Women in Business program that we are at full capacity almost every month. That's at McPhee's, and we can.
Oh, nice.
I think we can put 58 people in the room, and we're usually tapped out right about there. So that's a fun luncheon that we do monthly. And then in Paso, we've spent, I guess, probably the whole 7 years, a Wake Up Paso program. And in that program, we have 4 different speakers speaking on various topics. It changes, of course, every single month. We also allow businesses to come in and specifically pitch their own business for just a short period of time. A lot of people are familiar with San Luis doing, what do they call it? Ours is Wake Up Paso. Theirs is Good Morning Slow. And so this is a template that we've used that other chambers do. We love that program. We've put it on hold right now because we're reformatting it and looking to see what else we can do a little bit better. We've also transitioned. We were at the Paso Robles Inn for a long time with Wake Up Paso, and we moved it over to the movie theater when we came back from COVID. And that was actually really well received. People love the networking in there at the theater, and then to be able to sit in a stadium environment as opposed to at tables really just seemed to do well. So,
wow.
But we're still revisiting that and looking to see if there are other things that we can do. There's also been, this is top secret, but I'm letting the cat out of the bag here. We're also looking at pulling back on the Oktoberfest that Templeton had done traditionally. We know that was a very well-received event. And again, speaking to the visitors and the people that are coming into Templeton that don't know what Templeton's all about, it is funny. And we can all remember our 5th birthday at AJ Spurs and all the other, for us, we're okay. But now that we know that people are coming in, even in Paso, and have been the entire time I've been in Paso, to our visitor center and saying, where's the quaint little, cute little cowboy towns that we're hearing about? Paso's a little bit bigger than what I thought it was going to be. And it's like, you need to go to Templeton.
Right.
So being able to pull that in together and bring visitors to actual events, we think that Oktoberfest can answer a lot of that.
Wow. So that really sounds like Templeton's going to kind of fire up a little bit for all their events. Cause like you mentioned, as far as staffing, Templeton didn't really have that, but Paso does. And with those people, and then the people that are coming on with the staff, I mean, it sounds like, Templeton's going to be the next, having the chili cook-off and all the good stuff and fun events. I mean, because really, we live in a event area and people love events.
Absolutely.
So you guys are really putting on a great show. It's fun. It's fun to be a part of it because not only for the business aspect of it, yeah, we all want to do business. We all want to, succeed. But also on the other side is also the social side of it.
Sure.
And so you guys have a really good way to bring those business owners in the community together, especially when you do your, like, what is it, a 3? Well, I guess it's now just be a 2 chamber mixer.
Right.
I mean, that thing's a monster.
Right. Absolutely. It
So
is. Yeah. We've ranged anywhere from, I think probably the least amount of people that we've had attend that event is probably about 450. But
wow.
typically we run a little bit closer to 750 or 1,000 people.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it is. It is fun, honestly. And as long as we fall within our mission, which is something that I'm very, very serious about, as is our board, and we're not just having events just to have events, and that they fill a specific purpose, whether it's the networking aspect of it or it's the tourism side of it or whatever it may be. Really looking at that, a lot of our programs are educational programs. We just had a fantastic gosh, what was it specifically titled? It was the essentially it's the new labor laws and everything HR wise that's been rolled out
Okay.
for 2023, because these businesses, if you sit and try and do your own research, good luck to you. I
Right.
can't do it. I don't have time to research all of these things. So we bring an expert in. We had Kim Banks from BBSI. She's a really close partner of ours. We had Kim come in and she educated the group. I think there were about, I don't know, probably about 65 people in the room that day from both Templeton and Paso, from all over, chamber members, non-chamber members that are looking for that information. We also videoed it, and then we roll out that information as well. So
Oh, wow.
that's a large part of what we want to do, is produce these resources that if you as a business owner are trying to find out, where do I get my labor law poster? I know I need to do this. It's, first of the year, and it's time to switch this out so that if we do have somebody come in and audit us, we're up to date and we're current. We don't get dinged on this. That's another resource that we're able to offer.
Wow. And then you guys also are on those important subjects, like, downtown parking, the save station.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we it is kind of funny because we aren't just in one lane. We really do. One year the board said, let's look at what you're doing, Gina. Let's look at all of the areas in which you operate and all the things that we're focused on. And no kidding, I mean, we put it all up on a whiteboard and came back with 13 different divisions.
Oh, wow.
Because we are not focused only in one area. It is the advocacy, it is membership, it is the events, it continues to go on with all the diversity in the areas that we're looking at. That said, one of the I guess pieces or things that I am proud of is our partnership with, I know I keep saying it, but really our community organizations. And so our firefighters and our police force, and not just at the city level, at the county as well. Ian Parkinson and his team and everything that they do. And, we'll definitely support the Sheriff's Rodeo this year again. And all of those things, they matter. They matter to the community. So the fire department in Paso Robles and emergency services came to us and said, we want to do a ribbon cutting. We're putting a safe station in downtown park. Can you help support this? And so yesterday we were there for the ribbon cutting. The safe station is it's critical. It's something that we really need. It's the defibrillator that's there in the downtown. So if somebody needs help, it's there. The library is closed at 5 p.m. You're not able to access anything that's behind those locked doors. So we need to have this accessible to everybody so that if you call 911 and there's a 2-minute delay, you have instant access and you're not even having to wait for those 2 minutes.
So this save station, is this something new, that a new concept that is being put into parks? Because I don't know of any other ones around here.
That's a great question. I don't know exactly how to answer that. My guess is that they, throughout the US, there's other communities that have founded this and decided that this was important for their communities. For us, it was critical.
Sure.
This was it was grants that the city received from both Justin Winery and the Elks Lodge, I believe. They came in and said, we know that this is essential. They received the dollars through the grant funding, and they're actually looking to put them in other parks as well, and other areas where they're easily accessible, not just specific to the downtown city park.
Right. And then, I mean, obviously the city park is kind of the hub and the focal area of downtown Paso, with all the restaurants and, businesses around there and the events that happen down there.
Right, exactly. Because of the events, because of the traffic that we see. I mean, when that playground was redone, gosh, I think it must have been 2018. that the Rec Foundation came in and put in all new swings and slides and all of the pieces for all the kids.
It's
It
awesome.
is amazing. I cannot tell you how
Yeah.
many times I sat in the city manager's office at 9 o'clock at night as we were trying to finish projects, and you could hear that bell going with kids playing at
Right.
9 o'clock at night. And it's like, isn't it their bedtime? It's summer and it makes sense. It's so light out. People have a blast. They access that park so much.
Well, and there's great lighting too. So I think
Yeah.
that's also important because, like I said, we frequent there probably too often downtown. But at night, walking back to the truck, and there's kids and parents, and it's like 9:30 at night, but
Yes.
it's like still 90 degrees. But it's
Right.
just really cool to see that, and see a place that parents can take their kids, and it's safe, it's lit, and it's welcoming.
Yeah, and we love that that's one of the comments that we get from our visitors as well. Our tourists that are coming into Paso, a primary reason a lot of the time is, how can I stay around the park? What can I do that are activities that are just based on, we love this park. We have kids. They want to go over here and play. We want to be able to step over here and do a tasting and do a little bit of shopping. What can we do? And so it is really centrally located. And for me, it's that ecosystem. It doesn't mean that we need to take away from anything else. We have the activities, the adventures, the all of the things that people are really looking for now in when they're planning their trips. It used to be that people planned a 3-day vacation, and it was, oh, where can we relax and where can we not anymore. People want a sense, they have that sense of adventure, and they want to do something different. So they're looking at our area in the North County in general. They want to run into Santa Margarita to do the zip lining. They want to be able to run out to Hearst Castle, but they also want to stay centrally located and be able to have even more activities than what we now have. Our sidecar tours, and the list goes on
Mhm.
and on for all the fun things that people can do outside of just events.
Now, when you were a kid, because we talked a little bit about being around here, as young. Did you ever see this where it's at now?
Oh my
20 years
gosh.
ago?
Absolutely not. I mean, I literally remember I was 7 years old when I got my ears pierced at what is now Yanagi, but it was Blenders, on
Right?
Park Street, one building over from where my current office is. And I remember we were allowed to run up and down the street because there weren't any cars. And the thought at that time, it was absolutely no. We never ever thought. My dad actually is a farmer and a rancher, an almond grower, and the almonds were natural to us, and the cattle and all of those pieces. My grandfather was a cattle rancher, a longtime cattle rancher, and for us to be able to look at where we are now, and the pride that we all have as a community, and what we've been able to accomplish together, it brings me back to that collaboration piece. And when people put their minds together and say we can do this, it's really amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Gina, we could sit here and talk all day long about what you guys do and I mean, there's just so much. So we're definitely going to have to get you back on for, kind of narrow down a little bit, maybe different, of these boards and these um, sections that you guys are really focusing on with the downtown and the chamber and the
Yeah.
events. But so if somebody was interested in getting involved, learning more, how do they, where do they go for more information?
Absolutely. Our business development manager is Gina Grebe, and we wanted to make it easy and not confuse anybody. So I only hire people named Gina now. So Gina Grebe is our business development manager, and she knows all things membership. She's dynamic, and she is able to set somebody up with can sit down and have a meeting with them and kind of go through the different opportunities that we have available, the specific benefits of membership, and then talk a little bit about what we're doing behind the scenes so that there aren't as many questions out there. It's not easy, as you well know, to get the word out. People,
Hmm.
whether it's through social media or through the newspaper or through, there's so many different ways to access information, that being able to consolidate and get this all into the hands of the people that are looking for it is not always easy. So we try to be as diverse as possible and share the word of what we're doing. But we love it when people come to us and say, hey, tell me more. Let's sit down.
And I think that's really important as another aspect of the chamber, because the chamber is that know they you know what's happening, what's going on around, what's coming. And so I think the general consensus is that people know to contact the chamber in order to find out what's happening in Paso Robles or the surrounding areas.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely all say we have had the list going from time to time of the funny questions, I'll just say, that we've received over the years at the visitor center. I don't know that we have a current list, but everything from what's my dentist's phone number to I very specifically went to high school with this guy. I think you guys should be able to pull his information.
Oh, really?
To
Wow.
just the general
Wow.
information of I'm looking for white wine. Which winery is my favorite? Where do I go? So we help point people in the right direction. Absolutely, that's one of the things that we do as a chamber.
My goodness, you're a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So now, what about anything coming up that you can let us in on a secret of anything coming to Paso, the North County, or is that still just in the secret side?
I'd have to think about that one. I mean, I really do think that what we're doing with the spaceport is exciting. And actually, last week, we had a couple of folks from the city, our economic development director, our city manager, our assistant city manager, and they were actually back in Washington, D.C. at the FAA conference for spaceports specifically. And I think a lot of people have some, I don't mean to use the word confusion, but I don't know how else to break that down as far as what does this really mean for us and why are we doing this? And so the spaceport specifically it's not launching spaceships that are vertical launches, right? It's horizontal launches. And so it's not any different than an airplane in all seriousness. And so we all know how much air traffic we currently have at our airport. It's potentially going to elevate that just a little bit, but we're not talking 20 flights a day or anything near that. But what it will do for us is, again, I'm going to go back to the word ecosystem. It's going to allow us to bring in the people that are building that infrastructure so that we're stronger, so that we have more head of household jobs that we can offer so that people can stay here on the Central Coast. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a degree in tech and that you have to be an expert in space and that you have to understand all the inner workings. There's a lot of different opportunities. There's 3D printers that are needed. The list goes on and on and on. And if we are doing and expanding more as far as space is concerned, what about the people these airplanes, the tires that are made for airplanes? Should we have I just can't even go into it's all surface level at this point of the opportunities that we have available to us to expand that area that is currently, as we all know, underutilized land. And there's not a lot of places, and people are frustrated with the tourists and people want that balance. We all do, in all seriousness. I want Templeton back in early 80s.
Right.
I really do. I want Paso back from when I was 7 years old and got my ears pierced. I don't need all the noise and the excitement and all of the other pieces that go with it. On one hand, on the flip side of it, I understand that change is necessary. It's essential. And we have to be current and we have to look at what's ahead. And so I would rather take an active role now in planning the future than to be dwelling upon what the past looked like and miss those days. I'd rather look into the future and what can we do to control this, to balance this. What do our residents want? Let's make sure we're listening to them and let's make sure that we're doing the best job that we can because we live here.
Right.
We need a place to enjoy. My daughter she's at St. Rose. She's enjoying preschool at this point. Next year, she'll be in kindergarten. I don't want her to look back in 20 years and say it takes 30 minutes to get across town because they didn't properly plan and we don't have enough bridges. So it's our chance right now to play an active role and look at these things. But primarily for us with the chamber, it's the workforce aspect of it and finding those head of household jobs so that people can stay here.
Awesome. Gina, thank you so much.
Of course.
Really appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody appreciates the efforts and everything that you do with the Paso Robles Chamber as well.
Thank you. I hope you will have me back. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Good.
Well, there you have it, guys. I want to thank Gina with the Paso Robles Chamber for coming into the show and telling us all about what they offer and what they can do for you. But as always, guys, we can't do this without our sponsors: Escalar Wines, Wine Travelers Hideaways, Rancho Sestero Meat Cutting, Amber with Pillar Real Estate, 805 Customs, Airflow Filter Services, Amy and Jamie's Place, and Kennedy Club Fitness, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.